provide some analysis of the first 2 weeks of what you've seen from the offensive line?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the number one thing that sticks out to me is playing two pretty good fronts, that get after the passer and try to affect the game, and really do a lot from a standpoint of, last week was a little bit more of the movement up front. The first week was handling, obviously, personnel, and last week was the same way. I mean, both teams with game-changing personnel up front, and just we don't throw for the yards we do. We don't make the plays through the air without those guys, and really all 3 downs. I mean, it's easy to just look at third downs when the pressures are coming sometimes and say, wow, those guys are doing a great job. But, when we really study the play passes, when we really study kind of those early down calls, we're only getting those ops because of those guys doing their jobs up front. It's been really, really good. And then obviously with the run game, when we've really tried to focus on it, I'm thinking about that drive when we closed with 5 straight runs for a touchdown last week, and then obviously end of game against the Bears when we really were able to kind of do some of the things we wanted to do, some of the things we kind of built upon training camp to go out and do. So it's been really positive with that group up front.
There was an analyst who does a lot of work on social media, and he mentioned that one thing that he's saw that might be different is that they're looking for work after their bye. So what do you see in that regard this year?
Yeah, we talk a lot about kind of all 11 and the finish of every single play. It's something we take note of when we watch the tape as coaches of not only our sides of the ball, but the other side as well. I mean, when you start really seeing, Rams helping up Rams, we've got ways of really evaluating if we're all 11 or, with that attacking mindset, smart, aggressive mindset. We never want to be, beyond the whistle, but we want to make sure we're finishing plays, taking care of our own, and, helping, you'll never see the play that sticks to my mind. I remember, seeing whatever it was, a deep ball down the field. And I just remember seeing Big 77 going flying down the field, chasing it. And he's the first guy there, Rams picking up Rams. You always see Corbett, Edwards, Brian Allen, Big Rob. I mean, those guys set the tone for our whole group. But yeah, that finish is something that you're always looking for. Because you're going to get it from the other side as well, and you got to be able to match that to make sure that we're finishing every snap with the ball in our favor.
I know your focus is on the Bucs defense, but as far as their quarterback Tom Brady, what are you seeing from him at age 44?
Obviously it's crazy to watch his ability to still throw the football at such an elite level. I mean, just the amount of torque and power and ability to spread the ball to all their weapons, at really every level of the defense. I'd be lying if I said when they're on TV you're not watching to see, how they're going to activate all those weapons with him running the show. And it's just been really something to watch, knowing how long and how well he's been able to play for so long. But I think that you also see that. You see a guy that no matter what he sees, he's seen it before, so he can react. He can he can, be a play ahead, even if he hasn't seen it in the breakdown or had been expecting it. He can kind of, be a play ahead. And then obviously just the physical ability throwing the ball has always been elite. But, you're seeing arm strength. You're seeing him make throws that are just so impressive.
And kind of you're watching him, is there anything you've been able to pick up and maybe try to implement out here?
I think fundamentally, he's one of the best guys to watch throw the football in all of the NFL, just because of his base, his balance, his body position, his ability to generate, that force from the ground up. There's no doubt you could cut up a lot of his throws in the pocket, out of the pocket, how he's able to throw the football and really teach a young guy how to do it.
In that game on Sunday, when after muff punt, all of a sudden it's tied.
Yep.
You guys score, go 70 yards in 4 plays. Outsider felt like you guys could score when you want. Is that an inaccurate read? The mental change, and do you think that way going to this game, that you got to have longer sustained drives?
I don't think it's score when you want, but it's the expectation is if we do our jobs, we eliminate negatives, and we can stack some plays together, we should be where we want to be at the end of that drive. Now, it's hard. You get down there sometimes, red zone defenses, all those things. We want to finish every drive with touchdowns, but we got to play smart. We got to control the ball. We can't turn it over while also still having that attacking mindset. So some drives it's going to, you're going to be able to go, you're going to be able to go fast. You're going to be able to apply pressure to the defense with the tools that we have. But at the end of the day, we want to be smart. We want to play good complementary football with our defense and special teams. And when we've got to pick up either one or the other units and make sure we do our job, we expect to go out there. There was not one time after that happened. I didn't even see, what had happened. I was over there with the quarterbacks and some of the receivers looking at the tablet. And, Matthew's mindset was very simple. He's like, okay, let's go. And we walked out on the field, felt good about what we had dialed up. Sean called some great plays, and we executed those and were able to, have a quick response. And kind of on the road, that's the best way to kind of neutralize that momentum is that response. We talk a lot about that, and I was really fired up for the guys.
Fans are looking forward to Stafford versus Brady. Do you think Matthew is looking forward to that? Does a quarterback get up to, even though they're not one-on-one, obviously, to get up to be on the same field as the standard?
I have not asked Matthew that this week, but I can tell you that if number 12 wants to play defense, I think we would trade him out with any one of those 11 over there because they have one of the most impressive defensive groups personnel-wise in the league. There's no questioning that. I mean, that front is, it jumps out off the tape at you. But we have not talked about that. But, just knowing the two quarterbacks that are going to be at the game on Sunday, it's hard to not kind of think about it like that. But there's a lot more, all 11 on both sides that will help make up that matchup, and it's going to be a heck of a challenge.
Kevin, the Buccaneers are very good at hiding their defense.
Yep.
What are the biggest challenges they bring?
Yeah, I think it starts with their D coordinator. Todd Bowles has been one of the premier defensive play callers for a long time in this league because of, you feel it's that combination of the players play very, very hard. They're schematically sound, and then they're willing, to push the envelope from a pressure standpoint. They're willing to push the envelope coverage standpoint just to try to, maximize the stress they can put on the quarterback position, the guys up front, make it hard to run the ball, all the things that make good defenses successful in this league. So it's a combination of a lot of things, but absolutely it starts at the top with him, and then I already mentioned the personnel. You guys don't need me to go through all 11. That would take up too much time, but you can imagine that combination with the coaching that they have and the scheme, and then they've played with a lot of leads to be able to be really, really aggressive as well.
Kevin, was Sean at the walkthrough?
He was not.
Yeah. Is that problematic? I mean, I know you guys all have your responsibilities and
Yep.
everyone's got the script, but is that problematic when the head coach, if he's not available, for whatever reason, to be part of game prep in terms of practices and stuff like that?
Yeah, well, he was absolutely part of the prep, Monday and Tuesday, and then obviously was not feeling well today. But it was one of our better walkthroughs, and I think on both sides, talking to Raheem walking in as well. We got some situational work in. So we're set up where, we're so connected that if there needs to be, anything shared between the sides of the ball or with Joe D on special teams, that's something that happens anyway, and that's such a credit to our head coach, every single day in this building is we feel connected, and we feel like at any point in time we can pick up the slack for either side of the ball or any one particular person. And quite honestly, we've experienced, over the past year and a half or so, we've experienced some of that before just with the random kind of scares that come up. But obviously, we're excited to get him back. We know he had a negative test, and he's going to be back with us as soon as possible.
So who, you guys have a lot of titles, so who runs, quote unquote, runs practice?
Yeah, well, when we're split in those walkthroughs, I'll take the offense and Raheem always takes the defense. We're on two separate fields. Then when we come together, it's the same type of operation, working situations, but Wes Phillips, Thomas Brown, obviously Chris Shula, a lot of the guys, Henny, those guys are all, sometimes it's almost like we all need to be held back and sent to the sideline because there's a lot of guys on the field. But it all comes back to our way of doing things, communication at a premium, elite level communication. And I think that goes down to our players, and then they're able to kind of do the same thing.
Kevin, do you think that opponents overlook
Couple more,
Cooper
yes.
Cup?
Say that one more time.
Do you think opponents overlook Cooper Cup?
I don't think so. I just, when you play inside and outside and we move them all over the formation, it's kind of hard to really, take a full plan to, the game where it's first, second, and third down, still have your run integrity, still have your ability to defend some of the other guys that we have out there. But Cooper's done an amazing job taking the plan to the field, executing things really well. And then we've also had some times where him and Matthew have kind of put their own spin on things and finished plays off in a successful way. So we got a lot of confidence in both Cooper and the rest of our offensive skill players, and then Matthew kind of leading the charge, making sure everything's dialed in. We want to make it tough on defenses.
Kevin, what did you like about what Sonny Michel gave you guys in the fourth quarter of last week's game, and then what can he provide if for any reason Darrell Henderson isn't available?
Yeah, I know. He's one of those guys that as he continued to get carries, you felt him running stronger and stronger. Seemed like he was a tough tackle out there, finishing downhill with his pad level. You felt him standing there on the sideline every time he touched it, and that was really, really good to see. And kind of obviously, for us as coaches, we've kind of expected to see that, and just the way the games have kind of worked out, we've really been working on. You take away some of the victory snaps at the end. First game we're under 50, and then this last game we're not quite to 60. So you're talking about with a decent amount of throwing opportunities and going fast and all the things we do, the running opportunities just haven't been there from a volume standpoint. But just like we talked about the O-line, I think Darrell's ran it really well. And then obviously to see Sony come in and do that was just awesome. Thanks, guys.
What's going on?
He was a defensive coordinator. What's it like to play against Tom Brady?
Scared to death. No. Tom is, the ultimate competitor, the ultimate game. Definitely, one of those quarterbacks that you can say what you want to say. He's coming. He's on another team. He's on the opposing team. He's one of the guys that's earned disrespect in this league, and we got nothing but respect for Tom and what he's been able to do at both places he's been at.
What's made him so efficient in his first 2 games this season?
Tom knows exactly what he wants to do with the ball, and that's the key. When he demands it from his other guys around him, he's got that kind of way about him. He's got some kind of a bond with Bruce and Byron right now, and how they operate and how they do their things. Last year at this time, a lot of people were talking about those guys being on the same page and getting things together, but they seem to figure that out towards the end of last season, and they certainly kept it rolling this year as well.
Your defense has done a great job in the red zone in the first 2 games, but would you say you're going to be rolling the dice if the Buccaneers get into the red zone a ton against you guys, because this is obviously Brady?
You don't want anybody in the red zone, but I am extremely excited on what has happened when people have gotten down there. You can only control what you control. So once they get there, kind of like last week, you break the big run or you break the big pass and you end up in the red zone. You can't control those things. The only thing you can control was moving forward. So whether it be Brady or whether it be whoever we play, our job is to stop them. Our job is to score, get the ball back on defense for our offense. And one thing we'd like to do better of is getting Matthew Stafford more opportunities in this offense, because when they get the ball in their hand, they've done a great job of going down, getting these scores, and making these games a little bit easier for us on defense.
What have you seen on those explosive plays? Obviously, with the defense, predicated to stopping those first and foremost.
So this week in the pass game, when you had the 40-something yard pass, it was just a missed opportunity. You don't have blown assignments. You have a missed opportunity. And you don't want to take credit away from what Pittman was able to do either. He went up and made a great play. And you got to give them credit, and you got to give people credit as playing. The quarterback made a great throw with Aaron Donald bearing down on him. You don't ever want to take away credit of that. But for us on defense, you can make those plays, whether they're 50-50 balls, whether they have opportunity balls, whatever the case may be, using a little bit better technique just to get in a little bit better position to make the play a little bit easier. It's something that you got to do a better job of. Other than that one, right now off the top of my head, we had a missed opportunity on a tool to be used on one play, and then we came back and capitalized in the second half and absolutely got it done, and Jalen got a pick at the end of the game. So those things are all correctable. Those things are all player-driven. A lot of those things that happen, you look forward to in a game of making corrections, making adjustments, making those plays. So really excited about the things that have happened, whether it be in the red zone or whether it be turning the ball over or whether it be making big plays on fourth down when people are going for it.
When you look at Rob Gronkowski, obviously 8 great years in New England, retires, comes back, wins. A lot of people are saying he looks like his old self.
Yeah, sure.
Is that because he's in better shape again? Is it more comfort? Is it the depth they've added?
Well, I don't know, fortunately or unfortunately, however you want to look at it. I never saw the old self. I saw the the end of the season last year self going into the playoffs when he was back rolling and looking like, Rob Gronkowski looks when he's healthy. When he's healthy, he's one of the better tight ends, probably to ever play this game. He's one of the featured people in this from a skill set standpoint as far as playing in the red zone. And then not to mention that other guy throwing the football is not bad either. They've had a great connection for years. It's something to it when you talk about playing with somebody for a certain amount of years. No different than what we hope to have around here with Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford, and what they've been able to establish in the first couple of weeks. Those guys have had it for a long time in two different places now.
Raheem, I know every week is a test for you guys to gauge where you're at, but when you're playing a defending Super Bowl champion with every starter back, do you look at it at all as like a barometer game for playing against a championship caliber team for where you guys want to get?
So as you know, there's never a barometer game during the regular season. There's never a game that you want to say is, all chips are in. This is the game. This is the game that's going to define us. No, because that's just not how the National Football League is played. Everything goes down to the end. The only signature game that you can possibly have is, sometime in February, whatever it is, late January, whatever the case may be, and usually confetti falls around your feet or it doesn't. Been on both ends of those things. And when you're saying like playing against a Super Bowl team and a Super Bowl caliber quarterback with the championship, you're talking about multiple championships. You're talking about multiple things, and you can't let those things come into play. The best team that day will win the game, and we got to go out and find a way to be the best team that day. So you never want to judge it on, here's what it's riding on, here's what we're being judged on. No, you just go out there and you put your best forward effort. You trust your process and your preparation. You go out and prepare the same way you do. You go through the mental process and all the physical process you need to get done in order to prepare for that football game. You go play that football game at the best of your ability.
What do you think about the way they use Vita Vea as a fullback every once in a while?
I got so much history with this team. I might be the first person Vita Vea scored on from the fullback position. We used to joke on it a bunch in our goal line defense. He was the largest human to sneak out the backfield and catch a pass on us for a touchdown. And he's certainly athletic enough to get some of those things done. You know him very well. He's coached by a dear friend of mine, Jimmy Lake, out in Washington, so you know about him coming in the draft. You know about him for the last couple of years and how dominant he's been able to be over the center. And his athleticism is certainly a tribute to those guys. Going back to the red zone comments, I hope we're not there to see him get out there for goal line offense.
Raheem, what makes Mike Evans and Chris Godwin so difficult to line up against the matchup?
You got to give those guys individual credit first. Mike Evans being big, physical, strong, and absolutely he's gotten his footwork better in order to be able to release, use his hands, do some of those things just over the years, just gotten better throughout the process. And you got to respect how hard he plays the game and how physical he can be. And when you're talking about Godwin, you're talking about a guy that came in the league as a mover, as a guy that can separate and really became this featured blocker in the beginning of his career, now developed into an all-around wideout that's just a true baller. Then they picked up Antonio Brown, they picked up Scotty Miller and some other weapons around him. And then not to mention that, the quarterback that's back there throwing the football, they formed a nice group and to go out there and be able to be effective. So you got to add those guys' skill set and what they've done to make themselves better. And then you also got to talk about the guys being around them that's helping them out, making them better as a team, along with their coaches. Sorry about that.
What is the key to limiting the damage that Brady can do? Are there any lessons from last year before you were here?
The guys here last year did a great job. Getting that big-time win, it was kind of the formula on what you would like to get done versus a Tom Brady football team. You got to go out there and you got to find a way to affect the quarterback, meaning whether it be hits or maybe making him throw the ball off schedule when he doesn't want to. He then goes to what we know as the short passing game, getting it out of his hand, trying to get his guy to make tackles. And you got to make those tackles. You got to get those guys to score on offense because it's a team game. We get a couple of touchdowns on offense. We got to get those guys back into the passing rhythm and then affect them again by hitting them or getting interceptions. The key to it is to end this thing like we did the last 2 weeks, whether it be a big sack by Aaron Donald or a big pick by Jalen Ramsey. That's what you got to get to when you're trying to win these type of football games versus this type of opponent.
Is there anything sentimental for you, coaching against the Buccaneers? And do you hear from some of your former players that you coached, in that era?
Not necessarily the players. Rondé Barber, we're always in touch no matter who we're playing. He evaluates Rams games like he is a Ram coach now. So, but when you talk about some of the other people, it's not necessarily really this week. I keep in touch with most of those people, and I don't have any hard feelings towards Tampa. That organization, that ownership, treated me and my family just phenomenal. So I got nothing ill will to say about those guys. But whenever you're going to play against somebody that you got so much close connections to, so many people that you want to see, it's a good time to stay in the locker room until the game starts. So it's always a lot of fun.
So will you do that, or?
Yeah, I tend to do that. I tend to do that for the most part anyway, but I got to go out and see a couple people. It's always, you want to see those people, and I always respect to see those people. It's always fun. Somebody was asking a question. I'm sorry, I didn't know who.
Talking about, Fournette had only 11 carries and 53 yards against the Falcons and even less against the Cowboys. How much do you have to focus on their running?
I think the focusing on the run game is more about us. Like when you're talking about stopping the run, it's more about us establishing our identity. It's more about us establishing how we want to play the game. So it's less about Fournette and less about what happened last game. I don't know their game plan. I wasn't in their coaches' meetings and trying to figure out what they wanted to do and how they wanted to feature Fournette that day. But I do know they want to run the ball downfield. They want to be powerful. Bruce Arians' trademark from forever since he's been coaching, going against him a bunch at Pittsburgh and Arizona and now Tampa, Indianapolis. Hate to short him on that, but he's always going to be that type of a mindset, whether it's Ronald Jones or whether it's Fournette. So you got to be ready to go out there and stop the run no matter what, no matter who's playing quarterback or wide out.
Raheem, the Bucs retained a lot of players from last season. Has that been noticeable when you're preparing for this week's game, and does that change your approach in any way?
I don't think it changes your approach. I think your approach is the same. I think it's your trust in your preparation and how you want to go about your business. I think that allows them to have the step ahead as far as going through some of the learning curves, some of the things that they went through last year and being able to retain it and use it for this year. But at the same time, every year is a different year. This year will start over for them just like it started over for us. We're both going to this game with the records that we want to have, and we won't both come out with the records that we both want to have. And hopefully the Rams are the good guys.
Raheem, so much about this defense is, as you know better than anyone, requires patience, right?
Sure.
And ultimately turning patience in terms of what you allow the opponent to have into a dictation on your end. So at what point does that intersect? At what point does sort of that space in front of behind the line of scrimmage, behind, in the run game, that space allowed, when does that turn into a dictation?
When you're playing Tom, he's only going to allow you to dictate so many things. So when you go out there, you got to take advantage of those opportunities when they come up. When those opportunities come up, whether it be third downs, whether it be critical situations, situational masters, we pride ourselves in here, around here for a long time. It's been a part of Sean's creed since you've known. But when those moments come up and those plays come up, we got to make those plays. When those opportunities come up to make those plays, you got to make those plays. You can't miss ops. He'll provide us with some opportunities. He'll make some mistakes. He's human, but he'll also make a lot of plays, and we got to know that too. And we got to go in this game and we got to go out there and try to figure that thing out and be your best self on every snap. All right. See you guys.